Hi everyone, Coach Steve here with my training vlog, where I go through my training journey as an athlete rather than a coach for the race as I have in the 2024 season. So for those who are new to the videos, thanks for joining in. What I typically do on a Monday, I release a video alternatively, as in where this week is about my training. I discuss how my training's going, what lessons I'm learned, and how I kind of monitor myself. The other weeks are kind of Monday motivations, which are more of a shout out to the community and other smarties, as we call them, who might be there on my training plan, might be coached by me, or might be just a YouTube subscriber. And I try to kind of knit the two of them together. So this week is my training vlog. And what I'm going to do this week is actually dive into my Training Peaks dashboard and go through the data I will look at for myself and typically what I look at for my one-to-one athletes. So hopefully that's of interest and that you learned something that you can apply to your own training or give me a shout out in the comments and give me a bit of encouragement because I really am doing this for accountability. I've set myself some big goals this year. And I know if I don't have to answer to people and sort of look at people looking at my shoulder, I can slack off. As I said, I'm coming back from a pretty poor year injury wise. I broke my ribs twice, once in a bike crash. So I'm really looking forward to a big 2024. So this is what's going to help me keep on track. And thank you for that. Um, and by the way, thanks for people who fed back on the previous videos. One that said that my background was too bright and all the rest, so I've switched it off. But I do warn you that I may be upstaged by Cosmo and Kanzi, who lurk in the background. I'm going to see there and tend to pop into the screen. And they're way more attractive and way more cute than I am. So give them try to listen to content, but look at cute dogs as you do. Okay, so this week, as I said, I'm going to look into my training. There's Cosmo. Um, so I'm going to look into my Training Peaks dashboard this week, as now my fifth week of training for the Tokyo Marathon, Venice 70.3, and one of either Ironman Hamburg or Ironman Texas to be determined to see how my training goes. So at the moment, the focus is very much on Tokyo. Actually, I'll just show you my race plan. Okay, so you guys should be able to see my screen now. Okay. Cancel, cancel, cancel. All right, so actually here are my race calendar. So I actually have a duathlon in less than 3 months. I have the Tokyo Marathon. Um, I've got Ironman Texas 70.3, Venice, and Ironman Hamburg. Um, they're on what's on the radio. So I have a lot of big events coming up. So how am I getting on? So first off, you can look at my calendar. I go click to today here will bring us and you can see how I've got on in the last couple of weeks. I've shown this beforehand and I tend to give myself a grade at the end of the month. Last month was a C minus due to a lot of missed sessions, getting better in compliance. But there's also we need to look at the data. And for people who don't know it, there's a thing called the Training Peaks dashboard, which you find up here. If I click here, it gives you all these cool reports, and people go, "Ooh." So, what do I typically look at for myself? First thing I focus on is the performance management chart, because that gives me information on my CTL, chronic training load, or fitness. It gives me information on my ATL, my acute training load, or my fatigue. And then closer to the race, it's more important to look at the training stress balance, which is your fatigue. So I have this set up for the last 36 days. It's quite interesting. All these little red dots equal sessions and training stress scores, as on how much the session took out of you. And as you can see, there's one up here, which just looks nuts. Okay. So typically training stress scores can go from 50 to 150, 300 plus for long bikes and long runs. So something's gone a bit skew here, which will impact these figures. So I'm actually going to fix this. So if you see something like this in your dashboard, just click here. This looks a bit funny. As you can see, look, that's a training stress score of 1800. That makes zero sense. I'm actually gonna just delete it from my calendar, and and then that will be able to be refreshed. So this is, as you can see, for the last what you call it, the blue is my chronic train load and my fitness. The yellow is your training stress score or form, if you want to call it. And the pink is your fatigue, right? So I've put this in here to kind of show where what I typically would get. Now, for everyone who knows it, I did Ironman Texas back in April. Okay, so that's where I was peaking. I think it was April. Yeah, I was around 115 fitness, which is great. But of late, because of all the training sessions I've missed and time off injured, I've dropped all the way down to, I think, was it 28 or so. So what I want to look at is more of the recent stuff. So I'm going to change the date range. You can do this in your own training peaks. I'm more interested in the last 28 days. Okay. I'm interested in all of my workout types. So if you just want to look at your bike, your run, you can do that. Select them here and click apply and close. Okay. So what we can see here is I've gone from 32 fitness up to more recently up to 53, right? And again, if you're looking to try and interpret this data, as long as that blue line is increasing in base, you're doing the right thing, right? So I'm steadily increasing, all going well. Um, I'm getting a bit of fatigue, and these are obviously around my long bikes and my long runs. But overall, I'd be quite happy with that. And again, I'm aiming to get back to a fitness value of around 110, 115 in time for Tokyo Marathon. Some big jumps ahead, but if I hit the consistency of training, I will. Great. Okay, so what else would I look at? Again, seeing as I'm focusing on the running, I will actually dive into some of my actual long run stuff. Now, you can ignore the the paces here because I'm still doing I'm still doing a lot of my running on treadmills. The weather is not great in Ireland. And yes, I'm being soft, but again, a development point. I got to get myself that. So what I typically will look at, again, even for my own athletes, I'll click into kind of the key sessions here and I'll watch. Okay, so as I said, ignore the pace value. I would be closer to 5 minute pace out in the road once I get out there. But what I will look at is in general my average heart rate and my maximum heart rate and compare that to where I have been clocking up. Okay, so that was last week where I did 16K. Again, I did 18K on the treadmill yesterday. And my average heart rate for a longer run has gone down to 100 from 155 down to 148. Great. And in theory, the pace is the same. As I said, but pace we can ignore because a little bit's on treadmill. And my maximum heart rate has gone down by around 20 beats, which is great. Again, it shows I'm more aerobically fit and I'm clocking up the miles more easily. So that's what I'll look at in terms of kind of those key sessions. I'll focus on them because it's a marathon base. I'll also go back to the dashboard. There's other metrics here that, again, you can set this up to display percentage body fat or I can't have there's a bit of a break between my Garmin and my Training Peak, so I don't have all my weight data in here. But anything you record here, you can what you call it, do the same thing. You can again break it down to the last 28 days, line close, and you can see the percentage of body fat is going down before I lost connection with Garmin Connect. I'm fixing that as well. Other things I would look at to make sure I'm doing the right sort of training is the time in heart rate zones. Now again, you can select here and you can do this for all. I can look at for the last 28 days. Actually, mainly I've been 55 plus 24. I've been more or less at 80% in zone one, zone two, which is exactly where I want to be because I'm just trying to build up my fitness. But again, you want to look, for me, I'm really interested in the run. How am I getting on there? And things have changed in the last, yeah. So a lot of zone one work, a lot of zone two. I started to put in a bit more tempo work and sort of speed work. Because not only am I building up my endurance, I'm also building up my kind of bit of fast twitch model. So this is okay. Some of this just is that's me trying to run hard when I'm unfit. I would expect to see this and this around 80%, and probably 10% in zone three with some of the odd tempo runs, and then the other 10% between zone four and zone five. That's where I'm doing my speed work. So that it looks okay. I'm doing all right. Um, Other things I'll look at is completed distance. Duration, I ignore a bit at the moment, because some of the treadmill stuff doesn't add up to the pace I would have expect. But the distance stuff, as you can see in the last 28, let's say, have a look at that, 7 days, apply and close. And you can see my run distance is down for what it should have been. Again, I missed a couple of sessions. Bike, I'm actually over, which is great. Swim, yeah, I'm on track there. So that's okay. So these are the things I will look at in terms of athletes. There's other stuff here: fitness history, peak power, peak heart rate, longest workout. Oh, that's another useful one, especially for a marathon. So again, I'd have a look at, okay, I'm interested in the run. I'm interested in the last 28 days, what has been my longest workout, and it'll give you a breakdown. As you can see, I've been slowly building up from 10K. I only did 8K there, but I hit 16 last week. I hit 19. So my overall run volume is building quite nicely. Again, this is something you can do yourself and just like play around with reports. I will be going through some other of these reports as I go through. So if that's interesting to you, please like and subscribe. And actually, if there's any reports you were interested in for me to explain, if you put that in the comments, I'll pick it up in the next video, because I do want this journey to be me being held accountable to you guys, and also a chance for you to learn from the mistakes I will make. Again, I'm a bloody good coach, a good athlete, but I'm always prone to making mistakes uh, for myself. But I'm happy to let you learn from them. Back to home. Again, what else is coming up? Oh, by the way, and this is an interesting one. Seeing as people will ask, what's your projected CTL for the marathon? And you can change that here. If you want to see what your projected CTL will be, click here. It'll focus there. It looks like my projected CTL will just tank, but that's because if you look at my calendar, I'm going a bit of week to week stuff till I get myself in just enough shape that that I'm going to apply one of my advanced plans. So when Training Peaks tries to work out that projected value, this lad here, it adds up all the future TSS sessions and all the rest and tries to extrapolate. So it sees nothing. So therefore, it's just going to go, oh, Stephen doesn't plan to do any training between now and his marathon. That's why his training load is going to go down. His CTL is going to go down. Rubbish. I just haven't gotten around to updating it. It'll be quite interesting. I will, as I said, calling it out. I'm looking for around CTL of around 120. And if so, that should put me in shape to get under 3 hours for the marathon, which is the goal. Not afraid of shouting out there. That's part of the accountability. Um, okay, guys, that's what I'm going to do. That's all I'm doing for the moment. Next week's another Monday motivation. Thanks to the lads for actually just sleeping and not bouncing around. Any questions you have in terms of that stuff you've seen, plus in the comments, please do subscribe. Please do like, because that the more we interact and the more people who subscribe, the more I can actually give you guys info and help you along your journey. And also, let's be honest, you'll keep me on track. So have a great week's training, and look forward. If you're in the community, start asking questions. If you've got any questions about my training, ask. I'm an open book. I actually enjoy sharing all this stuff with you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and talk to you next week.